Hey guys, I'm Shawn Cheek of webpianoteacher.com. How you doing? Yes, I am recording these all at once. Not the whole 100 lessons, but at least the first 10 I'm doing, one sitting. So, yeah, back to back. But anyway, I actually put these together a long time ago, but they work so well, I keep using them. So how are you doing on your sight reading? How's it going for you? Some of you may be saying, how long do I have to keep saying the note out loud? Because I'm really getting sick of that. As soon as you think you really know them, because you have to be your own judge. I mean, when you look at a note, do you know the name of it immediately without counting up, without having to measure, or don't use those jingles? I won't even tell you what the jingles are. There's little jingles that people use to try to memorize the lines and the spaces. Terrible way to do it, because you never learn what they are. You learn the jingle and you're doing that, years later. Just learn what they are. There's not that many of them, okay? So as soon as you feel like you really know those, what do we know now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 12 notes, okay? C, D, E, F, G, A on both hands. And I guess we actually kind of did a B, so maybe, an extra one there. But as soon as you feel like you know them, you can quit saying them. But do have that sheet that you printed off. Remember, I told you to look up on the internet, search for piano grand staff note names, and you'll find there's several of them. Pick the one you like that looks the best to you. They'll have the both staves and all the notes, and they'll have a line down on the keyboard where the key is and the name of the note. Some of them will just have the name of the note and not the keyboard. You may not even need the piano keyboard. That's fine, but as long as you have that as a reference, just sitting on your piano. So if you're ever not sure of a note, you can just look over and see what it is. As long as you're not counting up, but you're just looking and saying, okay, that's a B, that's a C, because it's on this line, because it's in this space, not because it's 3 up from a C. Okay? All right. So lesson 9, as I always ask, have you done lessons 1 through 8 today, not yesterday? Right now. If you haven't, push pause and do those 8. Run through them as best you can. Don't have to be perfect. And lesson 8 is, a toughie. So if you kind of need a break from that, need to move on, that's fine. So lesson 9, we're going to learn 8th notes, is what it's titled. I haven't looked at this in a while. I'll have to see what this is, but 8th notes. So we have quarter notes. We've had dotted half notes, we've had half notes, whole notes. Now we will have 8th notes, okay? So there's an 8th note. The guy with the, beamed together. So you've seen music notes look like that. You maybe wonder, why are they beamed together? I mean, remember being a little kid thinking they were played at the same time because they were connected. And then my teacher corrected me next time, but they're faster. Okay, so if a quarter note goes 1, 2, 3, then 8th notes are going to be twice as fast. Da, da, 4, and. So if we want to have something to say when we're counting, we can say the syllable and. 1, 2, 3, 4, and. Da, da. This is the speed of 8th notes. If quarter notes go this fast, 1, 2, 3, then 8th notes go 1 and 2 and. Let me do it by playing. 1, 2. That's quarter notes. Here's 8th notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 8th notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and. So it isn't. You can't just say, well, how fast is an 8th note? It's relative. Well, how fast is the quarter note? How fast is the beat? Whatever tempo you're going. If you're going this slow, 2, 3, then 8th notes are 1 and 2 and 3. But if your tempo is fast, 1, 2, 4, then your 8th notes are 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. It's depending on the tempo. Tempo is how fast. I haven't talked about tempo yet, have I? Tempo is how fast or slow the beat is in your music that you're playing. Okay? So 8th notes aren't, you can't just say they're fast. They're just they're twice as quick as a quarter note. All right? So, yeah, let's look back at the board here. And we have our notes here. I'd like you to try to play this without looking at your hand. and without hearing me play it first, saying the names of the notes out loud, okay? So you do that, pause your video, do it, and then come back, and here we go. Here we go. G, E, G, G, E, 3, 4, A, G, F, E, D, E, F, 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right, this old man, right? So we have eighth notes there, we have eighth notes there. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay? Just keep that feeling of that beat, that tempo in your mind. We did have an A there, and I should have crossed over. I didn't do that. E, A, G. It's a crossover. We learned that. So just cross that 2 finger over and then come right back. D, E, F, G, C, 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 C. Okay? Let's move on to the next line. And I'm learning one line at a time because that's kind of a methodical way to do it for you guys. A true sight reading of this would go from beginning to end without any practice, but we got to start somewhere. So here we are with more left hand. Let's look at these 3 measures first. Try it without me, and then when you're ready, come back, and here we go. C, D, E, F, G, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so half notes still get 2 counts. Eighth notes are 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, B, C. Now here starts the right hand with it. And we have our rest. Remember, that's called a quarter rest. It's like a quarter note, but it's a rest. You don't play anything. This is a half rest. A whole rest hangs from a line. A whole rest will be 4 counts. A half rest is a hat. I never have to think about that because there's always other notes in the measure that count the thing for me. See, I'm not thinking about a quarter rest. I'm counting this, and so that makes me count the left hand, if that makes sense. 1, 2, 3, 4. I was only looking at this, but I know this was taken care of. It's just to make it mathematically correct. That's why we put the rests in there, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Just make sure you lift up, all right? 1, 2. I lift up my, well, you don't actually have to lift your hand off the keyboard. Just 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, this is okay here. You did G, E, G, G, E, G, just to move your 5th finger over. Lots of times in piano you have to do that. Some people say, oh, that's bad fingering. You should have used 2, 4, 2. You could, or 4, 2, 4, 4, 2, 4. True, I could have used 4, 2, 4, 2, 4. But there's lots of times in playing where you're playing and you're just going to move your 5th finger up. And that's really okay. It really is. Lots of times we do that. Now, we try to avoid that in some situations, but I'm more concerned that you know that that's a G and then that's an A. A, G, F, and that you get to it without looking at your hand, however you do it. If you'd like to start with finger 4, that's going to be kind of weird because you haven't had your 4th finger on a G yet. You've had G with a 5th finger, and that's all you know. Okay, so that'll throw you for a loop a little bit. But part of sight reading is feeling where you are on the piano. So whatever finger you use, I'm not going to dictate to you how your fingering should be there. Just make sure you get to the note. Okay, because real sight reading, when you really, when the rubber meets the road, we're doing what we can to get to the next note with the easiest fingering possible. And there are many times when we have to go 5th finger, 5th finger. Okay, so I have no problem with that. But I don't want to assign finger numbers and then you just play the numbers instead of learning what the notes are. All right, so here we go. A, G, F, E. But the left hand goes F, E, D, C, right? And together they sound really nice. Doesn't that sound beautiful? You know, that's like, it's called a 10th, which is an expanded version of a 3rd. This is an F. If I put an F up here and did that, they would be 3rds. 3rds sound really pretty, just like 6. And 10ths are in that same category. 10ths are very beautiful. Okay, but they go together. Now, if it sounds like this, you know, something happened, something's wrong. There we go. Okay, so I don't care what fingers you use here. Just make sure you get to A. G, E, G, G, E, G, A. See, that time I used 4, 2, 4. 4, 2 fingers, 4, 2, 4. That would be the most correct way to do it, which is okay. But for our purposes here, just get to the A, however you get there. A, G, F, E. Okay. Last line. All right. So you should try it yourself first and then come back. Here we go. So we have a new note. Up until now, C is the lowest note we've played in the bass clef for left hand. That is a B, my friend. Add that to your flashcards. So when I tell you to add these, add them. Actually add them. So you added the A, right, in both hands. A here, A here. Now we're adding B in the left hand. So more tenths. So isn't that beautiful if I play the above measure? All right, and again, whatever finger you want to use to get to that B is fine with me as long as you get there without looking at your hand, because the point is the feel of where B is in relation to C. Okay? That's the point of it, no matter what finger you use. Fingering is very important, and we'll talk about good fingerings and all that, but at this point, right now, all I care about is that you can get to that B and move on. What would be the best fingering? To put your thumb on the F. F, your one, that would work out the best. Okay, and then you think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3. But I'm more interested that you know what the notes are and that you can get there however you get there. D, E, F, because, you know, 100 people, 100 great pianists can play the same measure beautifully and wonderfully, and they can all use variations of fingerings that are different. We really can. And it doesn't mean one is better than the other. There are bad fingerings. We want to stay away from that. But at this point in our training, I just want to make sure you get there. E, F, G, C, 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 C. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4. Doing our eighth notes, right? Dut, dut. And so we say and to have a syllable to say for that half beat. 4 and 1, 2, 3, and 4. Because an eighth note gets half a count if I didn't say that. I don't know if I've actually said those words. But an eighth note gets half a count. So 2 eighth notes together make a whole count. 2 of these make a count 4. 4 and 1, 2, 3 and 4. Both of these eighth notes together make up count 3. 3 and 4. Okay? So if I start here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4. Octaves, 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Now I have 2 notes together. What interval is that? It's a sixth, B and G, and I also want you to know that that's a B. The new note we just learned, B, that you added to your flashcards, right? B and G, right hand G, D, D, F, E, D, C. So you have 5th, 4th, 3rd, and E, D, C. Okay. All right, let's try the whole thing. All right, so as you're working on this, this is how this is lesson what 9 or 8 or something like that. What is it? Okay, it's 9. Your practice should maybe look like this. You start with this lesson. Or you could play the ones before is fine, but the point is you spend the most of your time on the new thing, whatever's newest, because that's going to be the hardest because it's new. And then you spend the rest of your time, whether you do it first or second, playing through the other lessons 1 through. I think I've been telling you to play them first. There's going to come a point where we want to play the new one first and then play the old ones because we want our brain to be fresh for the new thing. Okay. So here we're kind of reaching that point where it could go either way. yeah, spend most of the time on the new one. Definitely play the old ones. Spend time on your flashcards and stuff. Yeah, and that should take, I don't know, at this point, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I wouldn't think it would take more than 30 minutes for most of you at this point. Even if you're it takes you a while to go through some of them. Again, don't fix when you make a mistake, not if you make a mistake, but when you make a mistake, fix it right where you are and keep going forward, forward, forward. Always looking at the music, not looking at your hands, always pushing yourself forward to more and more and more music, more and more new things. Force your brain to think, okay? Learn the concentration of looking at the note even when you haven't memorized, okay? All right, here we go. We're playing this one all the way through lesson 9 and go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. And 1, 2, 3, and 4. And 2 and 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3. And right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna scroll. 4 and 1, 2, 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4. 3, 4. There we go. So, all right, this old man. Well, all these, I had a record, I think, when I was a kid. It was a Disney record. It had all these old folk songs on them, and they were great. Well, guys, you're doing it. You're getting there. I hope you're doing everything and having some success. You're not going to be perfect. There's going to be some songs that are always harder than the other ones. Doesn't mean you're lacking anywhere. That's just how it works, There's always some songs, some measures that get us for whatever reason, all right? So hang in there. I'll see you in the next one.